Good afternoon, evening. I'm seeing quite a few new faces today. And very few old faces. Maybe the warm weather is pulling them to meditate outside. Welcome for the new ones. My name is Rona, and I've been connected to this institution for about 25 something years, meditating and studying. This center is part of a network of centers internationally, and the name is Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization. We teach Raj Yoga meditation, but we also have lectures and workshops on different topics concerning awakening to the potential of your mind, awakening to the potential of your own goodness. And so tonight's topic is, who needs emotional baggage? Anyone here needs emotional baggage? Anyone needs more emotional baggage? What is interesting to know is in the area of psychology and psychiatry, we generally group the kind of feelings that people with mental health problems have. And not only mental health problems, but those who just have some kind of commotion going on up here, around 3 words. Sad, bad, and and so sad, some kind of anxiety, some kind of fear, some kind of obsessive behavior, some kind of anxiety, all kinds of levels of anxiety is one area of emotional baggage that we could do without. That was sad. Bad is the other one. Some form of anger, revenge, some kind of hostility, all those kind of feelings. Violence. I can't even find all the different words for the emotional feelings around bad. And the other one is mad. Mad means confused. Indecision, lack of perspective, lack of sense of self, lack of a sense of direction. Confusion around who we are and what this life is all about. And if we really go deep into it, we can find long lists of all these kinds of emotional, unpleasant experiences. But how do we get rid of it? I can't see really. Somehow, that side. Then someone else is blocked. So how do we unload these? Is there anyone still upstairs? Okay. How do we get rid of this emotional baggage? And if you don't have any emotional baggage, which is very good, how can you prevent getting into unpleasant emotional tangles? Any ideas?
I believe the first step is to recognize that we do have it. We keep on denying it and not facing.
First step is, but I don't think we can deny much longer. But if you have stopped denying, what to do? I will use this board, so if you would want to see, you can sit on this side. Mm-hmm. What are the kinds of emotions? I just said, no, sad, bad, mad. But what are the kinds of emotions that we would consider baggage that is unwanted? Resentment, fear, anxiety, attachments, sorrow. Mm-hmm. And everything that has been said comes under mad, sad, yeah, jealousy, anxiety, loneliness, and then there is another one, fear of loneliness. Anything else? Hatred, stress, passion. There is one in one of the philosophical books. There is a description of the human mind in these times. Anxious lust and lustful anxiety. Means lust in this context means all kinds of desires. So a mind full of all the time desires, and that creates anxiety. This is hopefully not the mind of all of us. If you look at your own mind, or maybe we should not personalize it, but look at the mind in general. If this is a picture of your mind, what is in your mind? What is going on in this mind? Memories of? Can you identify what are the things that you often think about? Regrets. That's definitely luggage that you would want to offload. Anything else? Jealousy. I don't know how you write that in English, like that? Is this good? E. Sorry, English is not my J. Sorry, I'm JEA. Okay. Good times. And so what is it specifically? You think of good time and you feel a loss or missing or lacking. Any more complications? Resentment.
It becomes over and over. When you
Resentment, yeah, resentment. Another one. Shame, very good. Shame, you're ashamed of certain things. So all these things because of something that happened in the past, most of the time. So what it means, partly, much of our complications and much of our emotional baggage is because we think of something past. And past also means this morning. This morning is also past, not only past 20 years ago, but even this morning is also past. So that is a very useful observation, which means that much of the time with our mind we spend thinking of what happened, of past. Anything else? Worry about future, that is another area, worry. Anything else? Nothing else? Shame, I did not write down shame, that is also. And shame often goes together with another emotion. You know what that is? Have you observed? Guilt. Very good. Guilt. Grief. Grief, sadness, grief. Sad, depressed. Anything else? How much baggage are we carrying? Anything else that we could throw out? Repetitive thoughts, cyclical thoughts. Repetitive thoughts. And then we get anxious about that. Okay. Now, what can we do to prevent this? Are these useful? We are clear about that. They are not useful. So why do we keep them in our baggage? Yeah, okay, very good. Any other? We don't know how to get rid of it. This is a nice observation, because what has happened is we have used our minds for such a long time for these kinds of emotions that they have become normal. Now we think that worrying is normal, stress is normal, some kind of resentment is normal, some kind of guilt is normal, some kind of, what is there? Anxiety. We have started to adapt to things that are unpleasant. We justify it for ourselves, we adapt to it. And because it is widespread, more we feel that it is normal. We just need to learn to live with it. But more we allow it, what happens? We just become good at it. We become good at worrying. We become good at stressing out. So what can be done to shift this around? simple model, a simple model that can be useful to understand your inner world, because we're actually talking about the inner dynamics and the inner world. So a simple model that can help to understand this is your mind is like a stage. And on a stage, like in a theater, actors come. No? So there is an actor on the stage of the mind, and these actors are the thoughts. No? And every thought, every actor carries with it its own feelings, carries emotions, it carries with it an attitude. Every actor has his own vibrations. So every actor creates in the mind, on this stage, a certain atmosphere. We can only have, on this stage, we can only have one actor at the time, who is as if in the spotlight. But many thoughts can come one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. But only at any point in time, only one is as if in the spotlight. It's like getting all the attention. Now, there is a stage, and many actors want to come on this stage also. So they also try to push others away. And so in the backstage, there are many potential actors. Good ones and not so good ones. And they all want to make their way onto the stage. Now once one comes on the stage, he becomes more important, more powerful. And longer he manages to stay on the stage, in your mind, more powerful he becomes. That is why we have repetitive thoughts. Once he made it on the stage, he wants to come again and again and again and again and again. And more often he comes on the stage, more he can dominate so that others don't come on the stage. You understand the, metaphor? And every thought, like I said in the beginning, has its own emotions, has its own feelings, has its own attitude, has its own atmosphere that it creates. So what it means is all that emotional baggage that we carry around, it comes from certain thoughts that we repeatedly allow on the stage of our mind. It comes from certain thought patterns that are on the stage of the mind. And more we allow them to come, and more we allow those emotions to be felt and experienced, stronger it becomes and more dominant it becomes. Now, in any play, how do you organize the stage? Who organizes the stage? The director. So who is director here? Yourself. But this is also yourself. Now, there is another function within our psyche that is called the intellect. The intellect directs this stage. So this is the stage, this is the backstage. The backstage is the subconscious. The mind, the conscious mind, the subconscious, and there is the director. So if there is a good director, he will tell the actors You go on the stage, you go sit down, be quiet. Isn't it? A good director directs how the play goes, how the play is supposed to go. And a good director has the big picture in mind, the overall picture. And based on that overall picture, he says, okay, you go on the stage, do this act, and you now go back in the backstage. Your part is finished. We don't need you anymore. Go home. The good director is like that. So in our situation with this emotional baggage, it just means we have allowed in the mind certain type of thoughts and certain type of thought patterns to repeatedly come on the stage. And they have become strong. And if we have acted physically also based on this thought, then the impression in the subconscious becomes even bigger, stronger. So even the actor who is sitting backstage is already pushing others aside in the backstage already. So he's more in front, so he will more easily make it on the stage the next time. Now the only way to truly interfere in this situation, to go to the root, is to let the intellect say, no, you go home. We don't need you anymore. So to use your common sense, to use your willpower, and to choose other actors to come on the stage of the mind. And the feelings and the emotions will gradually be different also on this stage. Now, a simple but very pleasant spiritual practice is just to observe your stage. What is going on here? Which are the actors that are every time there, and are they useful? Are they good actors? And to sharpen your common sense, your wisdom, to shift your perspective and make it broader, your perspective on self, your perspective on your life, your perspective on life in general, so that this director can say, these thoughts are not bringing me to my destination. These kinds of feelings are not helping me on the journey. So let me shift the thoughts into thoughts that are more constructive, more helpful in the journey. You think this is possible? To empower the director? So how do we empower the director? Stay awake, first of all. Definitely. Stay awake. Yeah. Well, first also, of course, what Rudy was saying is right. First of all, we need to be more aware of this. And what is it? What is the word? More alert, more conscious of this going on inside our own inner world. And more observant and more cautious. And also more aware of the impact of this. And also aware that the key to shift this around is in our hands. Sorry. Many things that happen outside, they are not in our hands. How others behave, what they say, what they do, what they don't do, that is not in our hands. No? We would like it to be in our hands, no? But it is not. But this is in our hands. How I think, how I respond, what I think about the situation, that is in our own hands. So no matter how someone else behaves, I have choice to think what I think about that. But I need to be aware of that. So the director, awake means aware of the power to choose your thoughts. But no one else can really choose your thoughts. No one else really can direct your thoughts but you yourself. But what has happened over time with some of us, or maybe many of us, this director has, what has happened? Fallen asleep. Director has, forgot, yeah, also. The director has become weak. But imagine there is a show on Broadway, and of course all the actors want to be center stage. They want to be in main part. But just imagine the director falls asleep. What will happen with the show? It will become chaos, yeah. So same here also. Thanks. So, first the director has to wake up. But also we can help the director to be alert. We can help the director because some of our activities make the director fall asleep or make the director weak. And you know what? You have an idea how to care for your intellect? No? Very good. No, this is very good. Good company is definitely one thing that helps sharpen our intellect, the director. Being in good company means those who have same aim, certain conversations, certain activities that enrich, that give insight, that strengthen your wisdom. That is definitely. And this is one way to sharpen your intellect. You know what else? Well, one thing that doesn't help is television. And alike. So that includes YouTube and all of Facebook. Because while watching, and I'm not saying everything, but much of what is watched, you absorb the what is on the screen gives you kind of impulses for certain thoughts. And those thoughts were not your choice, so you're kind of bypassing the intellect. You're numbing the intellect and you're absorbing what is presented to you. And that comes in as a thought and creates its own feelings and own emotions there. So you're watching what? Some soap opera, and some intrigue is going on, and some all kind of, I don't even remember what kinds of intrigues are there. So all these mixed emotion come one time, jealousy and regret and vengeance. Nothing in your life is like that, but you are absorbing that from thought is there, and that feeling and that emotion is spreading in your mind. And that impression goes in the subconscious. So if you watch it often enough, it becomes such a big impression. Now you're just sitting in the bus somewhere or in the train, and those feelings are coming. Because those actors want to come on the stage now. Huh? We like drama or we like trauma? And because of the constant bombardment, if you're, for example, television, the constant bombardment, this one just goes, numb, doesn't have any say in what is going on here. And if we do it often and often and often, this one just goes unconscious. And then all kinds of thoughts and impressions are created here, and they just have their own life. So one easy way to offload lot of emotional baggage is replace your television with few books, good books, or another hobby. Or maybe not, but be much more selective. And the other day someone was sharing that on average children in the US under 12 years of age spend 6.5 hours a day. Television or Facebook or whatever, YouTube. 6.5 hours a day. The moment they wake up, it starts. And in school, it breaks after school again. Whilst they're commuting. And of course, the weekends. 15 hours. But anyway, this is one area. What else can we do to strengthen our intellect? Yeah, no, very good. Meditation is the process where you allow the intellect to consciously choose a spiritual thought, to put that on the stage and to hold that thought, or thoughts around that same topic. You hold them on the stage of your mind, so that those spiritual feelings and those spiritual atmosphere spreads in the mind. It empowers the intellect, it lightens the mind, and it creates in the subconscious more healthy impressions alongside the others that are in stock. Yeah, very good. Meditation is another way. Very good. That is another thing. Give your intellect wisdom. And wisdom, what it means is wisdom helps you see things in a broader perspective. That is what knowledge is supposed to do. Even if it is, for example, history, knowledge in school, history. You get information because your worldview broadens when you get that information. If you get information about geology of the planet, it broadens your perspective. You don't think New York City is the only place on earth. You see things broader. Same way, if you get spiritual wisdom, your perspective on self and your perspective on life broadens. And that helps, it strengthens the intellect to see that certain thoughts are just petty, certain thoughts are silly, certain thoughts are useless, certain thoughts don't lead me to my destination. So it gives the intellect more strength to say no to certain actors and yes to others. Very good. This is why for a serious spiritual student, study and learning new aspects of spiritual knowledge is a daily thing, because intellect becomes very important. You cherish the director, because ultimately what goes on here and here, it depends on the director. And all these complicated, unpleasant emotions, they can only be truly combated with the intellect. Of course, there are other methods that we more often apply, or some of us maybe, we can just deny certain things. Or we, hide from certain situations, or certain people make you feel in a certain way. So you just avoid. Avoidance is the word. We avoid certain things. Or we can live from vacation to vacation. So you come back from the holiday and you're already planning the next. And planning escape, trying to escape. These are, These are methods, but they are not really truly shifting or changing things at a deeper level. The thing is, if we start avoiding, we become good at avoiding. And how long can we continue to avoid? And avoiding doesn't solve the problem deeply. It would be better to not even get them. If there are thieves and terrorists, you don't let them in your house and then gently try to get them out. That's better, keep them out. Yeah. Keep them out. And a part of the whole problem is we have grown, what is the word? We have adapted to this. We have allowed it, and we have started to feel this is okay and this is normal. Want to say anything? Rupa? You want to say anything? Now, what are the options the intellect has? In terms of thoughts, no, because all these emotions that happen to us, all these feelings that we are having, they come to us through this medium of thought. No, thoughts are there, and then emotions and feelings come, and then they become so overwhelming, but it all happens through the medium of thought. So in terms of thoughts, what are the options the intellect has? Mm. Mm-hmm. Controlling thoughts. Maybe I'm not clear enough. There are different kinds of thoughts. No? So the intellect has choice. What kinds of thoughts, what kind of actors do I allow on the stage? No? And so there are a few options that the intellect has to choose from. One kind of thoughts is necessary thoughts. Necessary, or you could also say useful thoughts. I don't know. Thoughts of organizing your day. No? For example, 6 o'clock I want to be at the meditation center. This is a thought that is useful. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow at 10. I have to be at work at a certain time. I have to do some groceries. No? All of those are thoughts that are useful. And these are thoughts are okay to have them on the mind. They are kind of neutral in terms of feelings. They don't give any high feelings and not any low feelings. But things regularly, it can give some unpleasant situations also. What else is there? Yeah, there are also positive thoughts. Positive thoughts or constructive thoughts. Can you give an example of a positive thought? Yeah, thought of gratitude. Can you give an example about something that you are grateful for today? Being here. Very good. I'm grateful to be here. Be grateful that I woke up in the morning. Yes, very good. I woke up in the morning and this body works. Breathing. Eyes are working. Maybe not 100%, but good enough. Yeah. These are miracles, little miracles. What else? Kindness for others, like how? When someone is helpful, to be kind, but also when someone is not helpful, can I still be kind? Yeah. Yeah, very good. But if someone is not kind, then I'm not usually grateful. But if this is also where the intellect comes in. No? If there is a situation where someone is not so kind, can I still have a positive thought for that person or for myself? Or at least a thought of how can I work towards a more constructive dynamics in that situation. I can also go into a negative thought or a destructive thought. But if someone is not so helpful to me and I have thoughts of hate for that person, no? What happens to the stage of my mind? What am I spreading here? Yeah. Hate and unpleasant feelings. Now, who is feeling that? That other person? No, it is me. So, having these negative or destructive thoughts towards someone is hurting me. It is emotional baggage that I can do without. That doesn't mean that I ignore that person or that situation was unpleasant or unhelpful. I can still think how to resolve it or how to deal with it, but in a constructive way. And one way to do that is to think, because many times there is a situation that is difficult and we just think, oh, this person is like this person is like this, he never does like this, he never does like this, is this and whatever. And then we just create more baggage for ourselves. And that person sleeps comfortably and you can't sleep whole night. But also what we could do, the intellect can say, okay, where do I want this interaction to be in the future? How will I want it to be in the future? Let me choose my action or reaction now on the basis of where it will lead to in the future. Am I saying it right? Yeah. So if I want to be at least on more proper speaking terms with that person, how should I act now that can be created? Yeah. This is a example of a positive thought in a situation that is negative or unpleasant. You don't take it personal. Yeah. That is another way you can try and think from someone else's perspective. But that does not necessarily solve the problem, but at least you will be more understanding to why they behave the way they behave. But sometimes you don't necessarily want to do that. No, but sometimes that it helps. This is another option the intellect has. No? So the intellect has the option to choose a useful thought, a negative thought, a positive thought. What other option does the intellect have? Yeah, that is in the category of positive thoughts. Very good. Another option that the intellect has is to have spiritual thoughts. And spiritual thoughts are thoughts about the invisible dynamics. Spiritual thoughts are thoughts about the self that is timeless. And to give a simple example of this, we many times think of ourselves in terms of this body and the physical appearance. No, when we use the word I, what comes on the mind is many times the physical image. No? Now the question comes with spiritual knowledge, is that the real I? Is that the true self? Is this the real self? No? Yes? No? Hopefully not. Now, when you breathe out, you breathe in and you breathe out. You know what happens in that? You breathe out cells of this body and you breathe in molecules that will replace those cells. And you know how many? In one breath? 10 with 21 zeros behind it. In one breath. So within this past hour, much of the matter of your body has been replaced by you just breathing in and breathing out. Of this body, the matter of which this body consists, is the same within 2-3 weeks. Almost everything in terms of matter is replaced within the space of 2-3 weeks. But you still say, I am that same person from 3 weeks ago. Even though nothing that was this is the same. Now when we were born, body was like this. Then it becomes this, then it becomes this, then it becomes this, then it becomes this, and then it becomes this again. Again. So body changes all the time. But we still say we're the same person, isn't it? If we go for some transplants, these days they can transplant almost anything. They can change everything in the body, and plastic surgery and whatever. You can get a completely new hair, and I don't know what all they cannot do. But it is still the same person. Now, if someone commits a crime and then does a facelift and everything, changes the look completely, he will still be prosecuted for that crime. No? He can't say, oh, I'm a different person now, because body is different. So this self that stays consistent over time, thoughts about that self, that inner being, the soul or spirit, the invisible observer, the invisible experiencer, thoughts about that one. That one who is a traveler through time and space. Spiritual thoughts are about that being that transcends the limitations of matter. And that being is innately free. The real self is free. The real self has to work to that spiritual identity. Those thoughts are spiritual thoughts, and the intellect has choice to choose those thoughts. And if those thoughts come on the stage of the mind, what happens? Yeah, fear goes. Very good. Sad, bad, mad, goes. No, we don't need to be dead to be spiritual. But that. Yeah, very good. No, that's true. We won't fear that. But we don't have to die to become spiritual. It's a good thing. This dying thing is such a monster for us. There's so much fear around dying. How can we? One nice illustration of how to be free from that fear. What could happen? How can we drop that baggage of fear and soul is eternal. Soul is eternal. Soul is immortal. And this is, what is this? Temporary, physical, and what else? A car. Very good, car. When you get out of the car, do you cry? No? Actually, if you change cars, you don't cry. So if the real self, the soul, is the driver, gets out of the car, do we need to be afraid of that? Hopefully not. So these are spiritual thoughts. There is another category of actors that we have not yet mentioned. That was already there. We have said necessary thoughts, there are negative thoughts, there is positive thoughts, there are spiritual thoughts. There's one more kind of category. It is useless thoughts. Useless thoughts. Or cyclical thoughts, repetitive thoughts. Has it ever happened to you that you thought, oh, I need to buy, what? I need to buy batteries. I need to buy batteries. I should not forget to buy batteries. 20 times. And then you're in the supermarket. You forget. Those are repetitive thoughts, useless thoughts. And that is where the intellect also can say, stop it. All my energy is being wasted in that. You want to say anything so far? Useless. Yeah, cyclical, repetitive thoughts. Yeah. And every thought, not just to stress this, every thought has its own world. Every thought carries its feelings, its emotions, its attitude. Every thought creates an atmosphere in your mind. So empower the intellect to be more wise in choosing thoughts. We all have this kind of golden type of intellect. But this intellect can become locked by our wrong habits and by our not feeding it spiritual wisdom. And if the intellect is confused, if the intellect is drunk or knocked out, then there is chaos on the stage. But we can change that. Any other comments or questions? Now, one easy way to empower the intellect, which is also fun, or at least I feel it is fun, is to, in your mind, always hold a spiritual perspective on life and on self, basically. No? And how to do that is I don't have drawing skills, but sketches are still useful. Always remind the self that everything manifests, there is an intangible dimension. And so, if this is, what is this? Is this a person? It's a body. Another word for the body? Another word for body? Human. Vehicle. Very good. We just said vehicle. What else? Costume. Very good. Temple. Very good. What else? Corpse. Very good. This is good ego crunch. Corpse. What else? It's limited. Yeah. Physical. Yeah. Another way to look at it, it is the shoe of the soul. Shoe of the soul. And so there is the being, the soul, and the image that we use is of light, star, and that being operates the vehicle from behind the eyes. And so one way to, as if strengthen the intellect, is during your everyday activities, hold that image of a tiny star in the mind. And gradually, as if shift that feeling of self to that tiny star that is operating this body. And this star is free. This star is a traveler. The star is a guest in this world. And this star is divine in nature, with infinite potential. This star is what we're saying eternal. This star is secure, regardless of what happens to the vehicle, regardless of what happens around the vehicle. And if you play with this thought, traveler, if you play with these feelings, allowing these feelings to come, then a lot of that other emotional baggage will drop, will dissolve. And also the decisions you take will be more in line with this bigger picture and nurturing this bigger picture. Yeah, that is the meaning of this. Soul as a star, but also Supreme Soul, star. Okay. Any final thoughts? Now there is a saying, made famous by some of our great philosophers and scientists, and not sure if they understood the depth of what they're saying, but you cannot solve a problem in the consciousness that has created that problem. Yeah. I do believe that to some extent he really grasped that. But this is what is meant. This definitely also applies to the spiritual realm. If we are dealing with emotional baggage, it means we are dealing with certain thought patterns that are going on. And we cannot solve that if we stay at that level of thinking. We have to move to the spiritual level to solve and to see a bigger perspective. And then approach that situation again with different thoughts, with different images in mind, to allow different feelings to emerge. But the choice is ours. And the choice is up to us to use the intellect and to use the intellect differently. To make the intellect choose differently. When? When is now. And the willpower comes through understanding also. Now, there are two ways that people learn. You know how? Yeah, very good. Pain is one. And the other way is through wisdom. Yeah. Pain and through wisdom. Now, pain is not so elegant, but it's still effective. But it's not elegant. Wisdom is better. Now we have that choice. No, there are two children. You say, don't put your hand in fire. Don't put your hand in fire. One says, I do what I want. He puts hand in fire. And he will learn also, no? He's not so wise. Okay. So play with this. Choose your thoughts, observe the mind, and empower the intellect. Okay, let's have a few minutes of for a few moments we choose to use the intellect consciously to choose thoughts that are calming and soothing. And we allow the body to relax. And we accept the world. We accept situations, we accept different sound and movement. It is what it is. And we don't fight it in the mind. Someone we walk in, someone we walk out. Fine. And we just take this time to become more and more aware of the invisible experiencer. And we think of this experiencer, this inner self, in the form of a tiny star. A being of light. This being is free. And this being needs nothing to exist. The real self is like this eternal, timeless, living star, invisible to the human eye. A being that is eternally secure and just visiting. Visiting this body, visiting this planet. Visiting means there is an exit point. The whole physical world is extra. This body is extra. Other people are extra. All the situations and scenes in life are extra. Like a game or like a gift. For the soul to learn, to grow, to share, to experience, to experiment. But this beautiful, free, subtle, timeless being is eternal. And needs nothing to be. And innately is peaceful. Innately is divine. And as we gradually come to the end of this meditation experiment, we aim to hold this image and these feelings of lightness. And we aim to continue to reflect on this understanding of the self. as a tiny star. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the concentration also. On the desk there is the flyer with the program of June and July, so if you're interested to see what else is there, you can have a look. You can also leave your email if you would want to receive it by email. And every Thursday we have talks like this. Sometimes we have guest speakers, sometimes different topics also, so you can have a look. We try to do recordings, so it comes on Facebook Live and the recordings stay on, so you can always have a look and listen again. The quality is not that great in terms of the images, but the sound is good enough. Yeah, I'm seeing some who have probably already listened or seen. So, most welcome to courses and other classes. This month we are having a new experiment. Sunday